for crew chiefs. Thin mountain air strangles engines, and tuning mistakes usually turn into a mass of molten metal. Aerodynamic adjustments force a tightrope walk on the razor's edge between downforce and drag, where victory can disappear in a wisp of smoke. This is a hostile environment, one where computers work overtime, but quite often it is seat of the pants experience more than sophisticated electronics that crown the kings of Thunder Mountain. Welcome, everyone, to American Sports Cavalcade coverage of the 15th Annual Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals from Denver, Colorado. The internal combustion engine is just not happy at high altitudes. Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Evans in the pit of Doug Herbert, top fuel star and winner this year on the Winston Championship Trail. Now, the power problem is not as great as it used to be. They have a surplus, actually, even at 6,300 feet as we are today. But don't think that thin air doesn't create other problems. They can't use that power. There's no downforce in this thin air. In fact, a lot of the teams are burning the center right out of the tires. They are spinning them so hard the entire quarter mile. You say, aha, but they have that big wing. Just put more attack in it. Well, after about 4 degrees, it is counterproductive. It acts as an anchor, really. So a couple of teams, Doug included, have gone to these side pods. They had them in the trailer. They hardly ever use them, but they thought, hey, we got to try something on race day. Another driver that tried them, Kenny Bernstein, but he didn't find out if they worked or not. Kenny had a very rare and very sloppy red light on the starting line.
No reason. I was comfortable. There's no reason to give a direct reason for it. Nothing took my concentration away as far as, you know, a different light going on or a red stage light, or I didn't have a valve on or something. I just lost it there for a second and put it out.
Another disaster in round number 1 for Joe Amato, who had a reverser brake and could not get the car to go forward to the starting line. And all of this was great news to Winston points leader Eddie Hill, who had a terrific first round at 5.02, second best only to Scott Coletta's qualifying 4.96. Now, in round 1, running the side pods, Doug Herbert beat Clayton Harris, and he feels they were a definite advantage. In a few minutes, he'll go up against Shelly Anderson. Now, if the top fuel teams think the downforce issue is a problem, they had to have a nitro funny car. Right, Bob Fry?
Steve, you're absolutely right. There's nothing the fuel funny car teams can do to help themselves out aerodynamically. This is Chuck Etchell's Kendall GT1 Super Winch Dodge Daytona, and if they could, they'd adjust the wing on this race car to help put more downforce on it. But the rules and regulations are set. The height, the width of this car, and the height of the wing are already preset. They can't make any adjustments once they get to the mountain. Now, Chuck Etchell does have one advantage that the other funny car teams do not have. He's got Tim Richards tuning his race car. 4 out of 5 years, Richards took Joe Amato to the top fuel championship here on the mountain, and it all has to do with the engine tuning. This might be one of the times we'll see Etchells and Richards trying to take some power out of the race cars. So if there's one advantage that Chuck Etchells has over the rest of the funny cars here at this race, it's the crew chief, Tim Richards. In Pro Stock, it was not as expected. Warren Johnson did not qualify number 1. As a matter of fact, he was a distant second to the Mopar parts machine of Scott Jeffreyon. Jeffreyon qualified with a 7:49, more than a tenth of a second in front of Warren Johnson, the current points leader. If on the way to the finals somebody stops Scott Jeffreyon, it is going to be a stunning upset here in Pro Stock Eliminator. Steve?
Well, let the combat begin. Round 2 of Top Fuel will feature Doug Herbert against the recipient of the Kenny Bernstein red light, Shelly Anderson. Maybe there's some truth to that Bernstein can't beat the blondes theory, Bob Fry.
Well, he hasn't been very successful in taking out Shelly Anderson in the Jolly Rancher Slick 50 team car, that's for sure. But in the interest of fair reporting, Steve, it has not been a banner year for Shelly in that car either. That win over Bernstein, their first round win of the season.
And one of the real stars of the Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals is Bandimere Speedway itself. No track of Fords that view, almost straight down on the action. And you think it's spectacular the daytime, you should have seen night qualifying. This place was absolutely packed, and a lot of people have driven many hundreds of miles to be here. It's kind of, well, a vacation. The mountains are here, all the attractions of Colorado. The Anderson family's not here on vacation, though. Her father, Brad, is pulling his hair out trying to make this thing run. They qualified in the 14th position, only 2 away from the bottom, at a 5:33. As we said, Bernstein red-lighted against her round 1. Now, Doug Herbert, he qualified number 11, not bad at 5:29. Beat Clayton Harrison round number 1. But Doug is grateful just to be here. This was a month ago, the last race to Topeka, Kansas. Watch the right side of your screen. Now you know why he's glad to just be here. He's still a little beat up, a little sore, but thanks to Jim Brissett and a great crew, they have rallied Bob with this backup car.
Shows you what this sport can do for you. He came off that great win in Columbus, his first win of the season. So pumped up, came to Topeka, had that devastating accident. It's been 3 weeks until this event, and here they are back with a brand new race car, trying to advance again.
Shelley Anderson, far lane. Doug Herbert, near lane. Together they leave. Whoa, what a way to start. Herbert wins it by a couple of feet. A 5:24 at 273 miles an hour to Shelley Anderson's close but no cigar. 5:31 at 258. Bob's at the starting line.
Jimmy, I think you might have been holding your breath a bit on that one.
Well, we're not very powerful up here in the mountain. We just run our regular combination, and we're just trying to get through one run at a time. The next one will be a little harder. I think we'll have to take a chance.
Those side pods on for the duration?
Well, of course, yeah. Can't take them off now, you know. I think they help here. You know, they didn't smoke tires that time.
Good job.
He has got a great attitude about drag racing, life in general. Let's have another quick look, and there was no advantage off the starting line, Bob.
No, there really wasn't, and this shows you how much timing plays an important role. We saw Shelley Anderson smoke the tires in that earlier round when Bernstein fouled, and she ran like a 10-second ET. Here she comes up in this high altitude, runs a 5:31, and gets knocked out of the competition. Doug Herbert with a great pass right there, and that's what this team needs. Coming back after that devastating crash in Topeka, they want to march on and take these one round at a time. Let's go to the end of the racetrack now, and Steve Evans.
Well, you could probably hear Shelley. She was about a half a car back.
Oh, I could see her. Yeah, I could see her till about half track. I knew it was real close. You know, we're lucky.
And you're running good at 5:24.
Was it good? Well, that's good. It's hot out here, and I don't really think the track's all that great. And so, the main thing is we're going to the next round, and I'll keep getting in and out of this car. It hurts a little bit on the old shoulder, but I'll keep getting in and out as long as we can.
This is the first time our fans at home have heard from you since that horrible accident less than a month ago. How do you feel mentally and physically?
Oh, I feel fine. Just, I know what a prize fighter feels like now. I guarantee you that. But I'm feeling fine, and we'll be back some more.
Right, he did take a look, and let's check on those rear tires we talked about in the open. Oh, these look very, very good. The side pods are contributing, no doubt about it.
Like a prize fighter that might be down but not out, that team's going to be very strong as they've advanced now to the semifinals. More action coming up as we take a look at Cruz Pedregon and the gang. They're getting set to take on what's his name? John Force when we come back.
We're back in Colorado at the NHRA Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals, and that is Eddie the Thrilled Hill. He is thrilled that Joe Amato went out round 1. He is more than thrilled that Kenny Bernstein, his closest pursuer of the points, went out in round 1. And Eddie is really grabbing a hold of this Winston title chase, Bob Fry.
One of the most popular guys on the circuit, and a fella that came here a couple of years ago. Remember that old white Texan car he used to have, Steve? Came here and, I mean, looked miserable with that race car. But over the last couple of seasons, he really has become the guy by which all the others are judged. Magnificent performance here with this race car. He's going to take on Ed McCullough and the Mickey D's car out of Hemet, California. Won a race earlier this season and did it out of that #1 qualifying position. Earlier today, took out Tommy Johnson and the Mopar performance car.
And here was that race in round number 1. McCullough over the far side of the racetrack. That is not the favored lane. Those with lane choice like the near or left-hand side. But McCullough hooked up. Hayes the tires a little bit in the middle, but not bad end. Just drugged Tommy Johnson Jr. Shocked him a little bit, I believe, with a 5:16 at 271 miles an hour. Eddie Hill has won only the Motorcraft Ford Nationals, the Gator Nationals, the Southern Nationals, the Western Auto Nationals. To mention just 4. Well, she's only won 4. This is the 10th race of an 18-race season. And that is Lee Beard, crew chief on the McDonald's fuel car. A frustrated Lee Beard. They won the Houston race and then got this brand new car. I thought, boy, we'll really show them some smoke. Now, they have smoking tires. This car has not really worked up to their expectations. Eddie Hill, well, in round number 1, he carted a 5:02, and that is low elapsed time of the day. staging very carefully. They're away. And it is Eddie Hill at a 5:13, 277 miles an hour. McClelland falls way off his earlier 5:16 at 5:33.
Fuzzy, you guys keep going rounds. That makes it tougher on everybody else.
Yeah, we're tickled to death. The car's working real well. Eddie's doing a real fine driving job. The crew's doing their job. Everything's falling in place for Denver.
13 going to be good enough to win the next time out?
I don't know. It looked like a little soft on the bottom. Looks like we can get some more, so we might be able to step it up a little bit. Thanks.
One of the few 5.0 cars in the field.
Don't get greedy, Fuzzy. Watch the McClelland car. Bob Fry puts out a ton of raw fuel in this high altitude.
You'll see right here what to do and what not to do, especially at this altitude. Eddie's car, the Pennzoil team machine, letter perfect. No haze off the tires, and he's not dropping any cylinders. McCullough's car over on the far side, you'll see the smoke. You can almost count the cylinders as they're dying. He's gone down track. And McCullough was with him for about 800 feet, but Eddie with another picture-perfect run to advance into the semifinals. And that car's just continuing to run extremely well. Steve?
Eddie, I don't think it can be done any better than that at this time of the day at a 5:13, 277.
The car just really felt good. Fuzz and the guys have been doing such an excellent job, and this is all due to Dale Rush at Pennzoil, who's finally convinced me to spend the money to keep this deal together where it'll go round after round. Thanks, Dale.
You like that near lane, don't you?
Yeah, I do. That it's a little smoother. We try to kick the tires a little past half track, and the other one not so bad in this one.
Watch out for Scott Coletta.
Yeah, really. I mean, that's going to be the tough deal. I hope we. I don't even know when we get him, but he's a bad man.
Can't get him to the final.
Eller's been a bad man so far, referring to Scott Coletta. 5 out of the last 6 races, he's been the #1 qualifier. But, Steve, that's not all it's cracked up to be in top fuel. Only 1 car all year. McClelland at Houston, 1, coming off of that pole position in top fuel.
Well, we've said it before, and it's worthy of saying again. When you're on the pole, as Scott Coletta is, he's racing this man here, Jim Head. You may be on the ragged edge, right on that verge of smoke in the tires or having something go wrong. And you're right, so often the #3 or #4 qualifier will win one of these races with consistency, the C word. Jim Head in a car he designed himself out of Columbus, Ohio, recorded some of the best 60-foot times we've seen all year and was the #1 qualifier himself in Englishtown, New Jersey. Scott Coletta, he told me earlier, he said, I'd trade all of those #1 spots for just one lousy win.
And he hasn't gotten that win yet, but he, like Eddie Hill, they want to go rounds. And, of course, Coletta being a couple of points down, cannot afford to match rounds with Eddie. He's got to go past him.
That's right. There we see some more of that raw fuel, which is fairly normal at idle. Good start. Coletta with a bit of an edge. Coletta all over the racetrack. Head smokes the tires. Whoa, my. Scott Coletta, a 5:06 at 271 miles an hour. We thought Eddie Hill's 5:13 was pretty spectacular until this 06 came up on the board. Just outstanding.
Hey, Dick, when it comes to this elusive win, could this mountain be just what the doctor ordered for you guys?
This may be the day. I mean, you know, it dropped a cylinder first round and run pretty good, but that's low ET of this session, and we're looking for this win pretty soon. I hope so, anyway.
That 96 in qualifying was awesome.
Yes, it was. It was a 10th on the field, and then this is about the second low ET right here in the heat of the day.
Great performance. Might be their time to win one.
So the only car in the 4s here this weekend continues on. Watch Jim Head, Bob Fry. He's spinning the tires and dropping cylinders.
You see a pattern developing here, Steve. 2 cars we've seen in the last 2 pairs. Same lane, same results. Tires, cylinders, end result. They're out of here. Just a magnificent performance for Scott Coletta, and a great performance in front of a record crowd here at the Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals. Almost 90,000 set the record for 4 days. They are seeing some great drag racing. We're going to see 2 different ends of the spectrum here, age-wise and experience-wise, in this round of Top Fuel Eliminator here at the Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals. Rance McDaniel burning out. He's been doing this for a while. And this is the Darrell Gwynn team machine, the La Victoria Salsa machine with Michael Dunn at the wheel. Let's go down again and catch up with Steve Evans.
Well, Scott, a 5:06, very impressive, considering the blower belt is nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, I tell you what, maybe we're actually going to get some luck for a change here. We'll see. I hope so.
Didn't hurt a part. It didn't look like it to me.
No, it felt pretty smooth. It spun the tires out there in a little bit in the middle, but and then it quit. Belt come off. Thought, I just got rich, but we'll see.
You think you might be on the edge in an 06, though?
Yeah, probably.
He loves it on the edge.
A thoughtful, yeah, probably. Congratulations to Scott, a new proud papa, by the way, as Rance McDaniel, who took out Joe Amato in round number 1. We saw that earlier when Amato had problems, and Mike Dunn over Jack Ostrander in the opening round with a good, very competitive 5'11".
Yeah, Rance McDaniel was a member of the Krager 5-second club, established about 20 years ago. And then there's Mike Dunn, many-time funny car winner, still looking for that first Top Fuel national event. Car runner Darrell Gwynn hopes he can get it today. In fact, there is Darrell Bob Fry with Mike Utley, former Detroit Lions player.
Two guys that met in the Miami project, Steve, both victims of accidents and trying to whip their injury problems together. And they'd like to whip Rance McDaniel as well.
And that may not be easy, except that Rance does have the less than favored lane. He deep stages trying to confuse Dunn, and that doesn't work. Mike Dunn has gone like a rocket. So Mike Dunn will advance to the Final Four at 5:14, only 268 miles an hour in this thin air. Rance McDaniel starts with a 5:36 at 264. Bob Fry?
Darrell, you were giving it the thumbs up all the way. There was never a doubt in your mind.
Well, you know, this car, whenever it doesn't drop a cylinder, it usually puts a number on the board. And it's tricky out here today, and I got my work cut out for us, and so does everybody on the team. But we're hanging in there, and hopefully we'll be here when the sun goes down.
Don't think you're out here just showing off for that Mike Utley, are you?
No, Mike Utley's going to be is our good luck charm this weekend. We're going to win for him.
We'll quote you on that. Congratulations, Darrell.
All right, Darrell heads back to the pits to tune his car up, and he better really tune it up because they're going to face the only guy in the fours here this weekend, Scott Coletta.
And the other half of that ladder will put Eddie Hill, the current points leader, against the red-hot resurgent Doug Herbert. Great matchup coming up right there. Steve?
Well, Michael, it's nice to meet like this. A 5:14 as you pick up the pace.
Well, we've been running real consistent. We just need to probably pick up another 10th to get Scott Coletta next round. But I think we can step up. Darrell's doing a heck of a job. The crew, Brian, Doug, Chris, Tom, everybody, they're doing a great job this weekend.
What do you think about that far lane? He's going to put you over there, probably.
I don't think there's a bump out there. We may have to do it to Topeka, get to the bump. I'll have my hand on the brake. I may have to pump the brake one time and see what happens, but we'll probably step it up and try to get her accelerating pretty hard to that point. And I think that's the only chance we're going to have.
That's why those drivers make the big bucks, hold the brake, get it over the bump, and get it into the next round. Well, from Top Fuel, we go to round number 2 of Pro Stock Eliminator. Here comes Bob Glidden, the Motorcraft team machine, 10 times. He's won the Winston Championship, and he's got Paul Rebeshke in the other lane.
Well, I'll tell you, these guys really get frustrated with the thin air. They can't up the blower boost or the nitro percentage. They're pretty well stuck with what they've got. Go to lower gears, maybe a little higher compression. Glidden doesn't even do that. He basically runs a C-level combination. So it's very, very frustrating to run a normally aspirated car. As I said at the top of the show, if you've ever done any mountain driving with your own car, you know, but you think it's broken when you get to about 5,000 feet. Paul Rebeshke out of the state of Connecticut, qualified number 13 at a 769. Bob Glidden way up in the field with the only Ford at number 5, qualified at 763, and beat the always tough Joe LaPone Jr. in round number 1. The RPMs come up for the start of this first race in round 2. Ford in the near lane, General Motors far side. It's a beauty. Boy, was Rebeshke ever hanging in there. He just didn't have enough oomph the last couple hundred feet. Glidden wins it at a 769, 179 miles an hour to a 773, 178.
What a difference a couple of 1,000 feet make in performance of the race cars. Steve, you hit it right on the head. Gasoline and carburetors have nothing really to do to improve the performance of these race cars. Maybe a little different compression or different piston size or something, but 760s is about all that Glidden's been able to squeeze out of that Motorcraft Ford here today. Got a good move off the starting line, and when you're taking on the 10-time Winston champ, you don't want to give him any advantage. Rebeshke gave him his best shot, probably the best performance we've seen from Paul this season. But Bob Glidden in Big Red just driving hard at the top end of the racetrack, and he goes into the next round. Steve?
This is hard work up here, isn't it?
Not too bad if you're lucky enough to win a round or two, Steve.
Well, you just won that one with the 769.
Probably not too bad this time of the day if you want to compare me to the other slow cars, but if we want to talk about the other deal, you know, the Dodge, that's a different thing.
When you come to Thunder Mountain, what do you bring differently in the engine?
Well, we mess around with fuel, carburetors, timing a little bit, mainly gear ratios. That's about all we can do.
Not compression?
Well, we don't. No, it's really tough to build an engine for one race. Maybe a guy should, but Obviously, we haven't done anything too special.
He's talking about comparison to the Dodge. The Dodge ran 7:49 at best of the weekend, referring to Scott Jeffrey on. Steve, that's 2/10 quicker than the red car.
Well, and Jeffrey on the #1 qualifier has a 10th over #2 Warren Johnson. We'll be seeing them very shortly, but right now here is Steve Schmidt up against Ricky Smith. In the Oldsmobile, Steve Schmidt has been really a pleasant surprise. He's also a very pleasant guy. Qualified #6 at a 7:66, and he punted Bruce Allen right out of here in round #1 with his Chevy Lumina from Indianapolis, Indiana. Steve Schmidt. Ricky Smith, crafty Ricky Smith from King, North Carolina, had a big hole shot in round #1 just to get to this point, and he's always looking for that.
Great look at the new Formula Firebird. They look so much swoopier than the rest of the Pro Stock cars, Steve, but they're really all dealing from the same deck height, width, and engine size in this class.
All right, identical reaction times. And it is Ricky Smith. A 7:69, 179. Schmidt, well, he looked pretty good the first half of the tracks, but a 7:89, 175 is the result.
Welcome back. We are in the pit area of Eddie Hill, and I guess it's only fitting that a guy named Hill would run well here on the mountain. He gets set to take on Doug Herbert in a great Top Fuel semifinal. But right now, we're going to go back with more Pro Stock action, and here comes the Johnson clan.
And I believe this is the 4th time that Warren Johnson and his son Kurt have met side by side. The other 3 times were in final rounds, and Kurt is yet to beat the old man.
Going back to last year right here at this race when Don Beverly debunked that myth about somebody racing against Warren out of his team and going down the dumper. Remember, Beverly punched him out in the finals here last year. And these two guys, as you said, Steve, have met 4 times, and the biggest margin of victory has been like 0.05 of a second. So there's no tank jobs in this one.
Well, in the past, Kurt Johnson has been driving for other teams using a Warren Johnson-built motor. Here he's in his own car for the very first time. His dad calls it a reality check.
Now let's find out how well the kid can do. One of these days, he's going to beat WJ.
You'd just like to get him on reaction time, if nothing else. He hasn't even been able to do that. And he says, but I'm this kid. I ought to be quicker. Hey, you ain't Warren Johnson yet, son. You're getting there, but not just yet. All right, they stage. Believe it or not, to them, it's almost another car race by this point. At least I'll tell you that. Ooh, no advantage in reaction time. They leave right together. Yes, far in by half a car length. It's pop. Warren Johnson at 7:64, 181. Kurt, well, he tried hard, giving everything he had with a 7:69, 179 miles an hour. I mean, technically, it's like 9 thousandths off the starting line. That could be how you're staged.
This just goes to show you one more time how dominant the Dodge is. Remember, he's been in the 740s. WJ, arguably the most powerful car in circuit, 764 in this round to advance, taking on his son Kurt. It's a brand new race car out this weekend for Kurt, built by some folks down at Atlanta Performance Enterprises in Georgia. First time out, the car did look pretty good. Of course, Dad looked about that much better. Great run. Steve?
Well, Warren, you saw a bit of the back of that other Oldsmobile.
Yeah, I knew he was going to take and try the best he could on starting line because the cars are pretty evenly matched. So if you don't do it on the starting line, your chances of losing are quite obviously heightened.
You bet. A 764, a bit quicker than the other cars.
Well, we're just having a lot of trouble getting this thing off the starting line this weekend. It'll run right with the Dodge with no problem if we can ever get it off the starting line. It's just one of these things we just haven't got it together.
Probably the first time this year that I think I can believe Warren when he makes that statement. He has been behind this car, the Mopar Performance Dodge, all weekend long, from qualifying and round by round.
And he better not take Frank Iaconio loosely here. He qualified number 8, right in the middle of a fine 767. And in that particular Oldsmobile, he beat Larry Morgan in round number 1 out of Flanders, New Jersey, a regular on the Pro Stock trail for a generation, really. Scott Jeffrey on. Why is he so tough on the mountain? I'm going to tell you. The thin air calms that car down. It is notoriously violent off of the starting line. It wants to shake the tires. It wants to go sideways. With a little bit of the power removed, it goes straight as a string. Look at that. Whoa, Warren Johnson won't like this. 7:55 for Jeffrey on 183 miles an hour. That's a huge speed up here. Iaconio, he mustered a nice 7:68, 179 miles an hour, and still wasn't in the same league.
It'll be a rematch of that Memphis final when Scott Jeffrey beat Bob Glidden for his first ever win in the Mopar machine, and Ricky Smith against WJ coming out of the other side of the bracket. Ought to be some matchup. WJ still chasing the Dodge, but then aren't they all?
You know, I can't remember the last time one pro stock driver had a 10th on the field, and you continue with that at a 7:55.
Well, you know, this is a true team effort out here, and it's the guys from Wayne County that are responsible for that. I'm just fortunate I get to let the clutch out in this little Dodge, and boy, is it a heck of a lot of fun, Steve.
The fans are looking ahead to a possible Warren Johnson, Scott Jeffrey on final. You can't do that. You're going to take them one at a time.
They can look ahead all they want. I have to look right now at my next round, and my next round, as far as I'm concerned, is my lane, whatever lane I'm in.
Well, if I were a betting man, I'd bet on a Warren Johnson, Scott Jeffrey on final two. Those are the two dominant cars in this class this year.
Right now, that'd be an even money bet, I think. All right, let's pick up the speed. Let's lower the elapsed time with nitro-burning funny cars, or fuel coupes, whatever you want to call them. They love them here in Denver. John Bandimere and his staff, they run a lot of match races at night here all summer long, and that's a very popular car wherever it goes. Al Hoffman over in the far side. In the near lane, the #1 qualifier, Chuck Etchels. And Bob, we have to remember at the top of the show when you talked about Tim Richards, what an asset he is on this hill.
Not only that, but Etchels came in here last year and went to the finals and won the event. I mean, it's a pretty tough combination. Something about different tracks or different venues that certain teams like. And, of course, Etchels really does love running well here.
Al Hoffman has been very frustrated lately. He sees John Force getting further and further up the points lead. It really bothers him. Chuck Etchels told me yesterday, I think I could be #2 in points. Realistically, I can't catch Force. But if we can get on a roll here, we could be #2 at season's end. And that's worth, what, about $40,000 extra?
You need to pick up a couple of rounds per race on John Force. You're not going to be able to make up that much ground picking up just one round at a time. And you got to hope Force goes out early, and that doesn't happen very often.
Al Hoffman's crew worked until midnight repairing the left front corner of the body. He lost traction so badly in that lane he's in now that he crossed the center line, hit the timing apparatus, and really took a licking on the fiberglass. Good start. Whoa, and Hoffman again smokes the tires. Etchels smokes the tires. That's not engine smoke, folks. That far down the racetrack, that's burning rubber. Etchels at a nice 543. Even smoking the tires at 270 miles an hour, and Hoffman just coasts on through. Bob?
Tim, you guys are kind of the talk of the town who have that qualifying run, and most of these guys think you got more left.
Well, there's plenty left, but the track isn't going to take it. It's just a matter of who's going to get down this track and who isn't. If you get a little too greedy, it's goodbye.
Those dragsters put those pods on to help stop smoking the tires. What can you guys do?
Nothing. We're going to have to back some power out of it, and that's all we can do.
Not too many times you hear Tim Richards say we're taking power out of it.
Or smile that much, or run that hard. He obviously likes working for Chuck Etchels. Well, here's the Mike Dunn pits as they get ready to face Scott Coletta. They need traction, they need horsepower to deal with the #1 qualifier.
There's a good look at the Pioneer Entertainment Team machine. This is Tommy Hoover at the Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals. Bob Fry and Steve Evans. And Steve, round #2, a fuel funny car, or the class called Can Anybody Catch? John Force.
Well, I would tell you, Kenji Okazaki was most impressive in round #1. He went down this racetrack straighter than anybody else, and straight equates to a reduced elapsed time. Jim Dunn, who actually owns this car and leases it to Kenji, snapping the hatch down from Tokyo, Japan, muscle car dealer, super neat guy. His English is a lot better than my Japanese. Tom Hoover, well, he speaks with horsepower out of Maple Grove, Minnesota, and I think this is the sleeper in the field. Tom Hoover. He has been clicking the car early, not abusing parts, and still running very competitive elapsed times. If he decides to unleash this thing, either here in Denver or maybe at the next race in Sonoma, he could be a winner for the years out.
His best performance since Memphis when he went to the finals. Qualified #3, and I agree, this car's got a lot of power.
Buster Couch looking him over. They're set. They're gone. Kenji away first. Hoover loses traction. It is Kenji Okazaki, a 562. Boy, he fell way off from his qualifying pace of a 549. And no speed at all, 255 miles an hour. Hoover departs with a 568 at 249.
Like I said, not a doubt in my mind that Kenji Okazaki was going to win this race. Hoover had a very good start, and it's not till about half track that the problems start to set in. They were dead even as they went to the 8th-mile mark, and Kenji Okazaki and the Moon Eyes team machine going deeper into the field than he has so far in his career. Look at that, all the smoke on the far side, a lot of tire smoke and some engine smoke out the right bank, and that spells trouble for Tommy Hoover. So Kenji Okazaki and the Jim Dunn combo into the semis.
Kenji had fell off just a little bit, slowed down to a 5.63.
Okay, I accept that number.
It sounded like, and we saw a little fire out of the left-hand side. Did you feel anything there?
No, I didn't feel anything.
Well, Big Jim Dunn will tune it up. We know that.
Okay, yeah. Thanks.
Good job, Kenji.
You're right, Steve. His English is better than your Japanese.
No, it's better than my English.
That's even worse. Here you go. Here's the Castrol GTX team machine. This is Winston champ 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but not last year, and he's not happy about that because the guy that won it last year in the other lane is John Force against Cruz Pedregon.
Yeah, Force has won an unprecedented 7 national events this season. He's got a huge Winston points lead, and if Cruz Pedregon wants to keep the #1, he has to go out and win about 7 races in the latter part of the season. Larry Minor, the owner of the Ed McClelland and the Cruz Pedregon cars, looking on. You know, one of the best races last year, one of the most thrilling anyway, was at Dallas with Forrest and Pedregon when they both smoked the tires and Forrest ultimately smacked the wall. I tell you, the fans that were there and the television audience will never forget that one. Cruz Pedregon started drag racing in diesel trucks of all things. Boy, he has come a long way. He is smooth. John Forrest, has there ever been a better funny car driver? Probably not.
They've had a couple of races this season when the Mickey D's car ran like a diesel truck, though, Steve. I mean, they have struggled since early in the season when they were the class of the field performance-wise. They've raced Force 4 times this year and have nothing to show for it.
You're absolutely right. Force has lane choice, everything in his column. You're riding with John Force. They both lose traction, and Pedregon is the survivor. Cruz Pedregon at 5.62 to Force's 5.65. Force had a teeny-weeny hole shot, but that wasn't enough.
Nope, teeny weenie's not going to beat the Cruiser very often. That hole shot, by the way, just 9 thousandths of a second. John Force first out of the starting gate, as he has been almost every race so far this year. And then the car does make a move toward the center line of the race course. You can already see a little wisp of smoke starting to come off the tires. Then I'll refer back to Steve's comment about last year's Dallas race, and this is almost what it'll look like at the end of the racetrack down there. Cruz Pedregon in the McDonald's car and John Force both trying to backpedal and just trying to get to that quarter-mile mark ahead of the other guy. Cruiser by a quarter car lane.
Boy, Cruz, that was reminiscent of last year in Dallas. You and John smoking the tires.
Well, I'll tell you, Steve, you know, we've tried a lot this year to beat Force, and, you know, it's been tough on us, you know, mentally and physically, but the McDonald's car put it together here, you know. That's part of the game out here. It's tricky out there, and the crew chiefs and the guys that are doing a good job.
You got to quit smoking the tires if you want to win, though. You know that.
Coming into this deal, we talked, Mike Green and I, and we said, you know, we can't smoke the tires if we want to win, and that's holding true, but Force evidently did the same thing.
You both went for it is what happened.
I appreciate it, Steve. Thank you.
Come on, Cruz, happy up a little bit. You just put away John Force, and that's one of the big goals for your team. You want to stay in this Winston Championship points chase, you got to go around. There was Leonard Hughes and one of the many crew chiefs on top of the Hawaiian Vacation Machine. And here's a surprising Bruce Nielsen. Nielsen with a stunning win in round #1, his first round victory of the season. And for his efforts, he gets to take on currently one of the hottest riders in the field, Gordy Bonin and the Hawaiian Vacation car. Steve?
That was more like a heavyweight fight than a drag race.
Yeah, that one really kind of aggravated me. She was in trouble the minute it left the start line. It spun around. I kept seeing him, and I pedaled her a little bit and straightened her up and pedaled her, and she was just in trouble. And right when I thought I had him covered, she nosed over, and it's just all that tire spin does it. But, hey, he's doing his job, and we're doing the best we can.
Thanks, Jeff.
If you aspiring broadcast journalists ever want to get into the business, do your audition tape with John Force. You can say hi and get about 20 minutes.
Did you notice at the far end, they parked up as far away from each other as they could? They made no eye contact. There was none of that good race, John, or good race, Cruz, none of that.
Just not a lot of love lost between those two. Here's Bruce Nielsen hoping to advance to his first ever semifinal. In round #1, he got around Jim Epler out of Vancouver, Washington in the Rug Doctor, and it was not without Pearl to Jim Epler.
No, that's right. This was earlier today. Watch the Rug Doctor car, a brand new machine. shiny right off it. Physically, Jim Epler is okay, even smiling, but as you look at your brand new car, you got to be, well, grief-stricken.
Well, I really am. Have all the Rock Doctor people out here this weekend at Safeway and trying to do a good job for them, but I don't know why I let go, but well, see what happens, try and get back together for Sonoma.
Well, you did a good job of getting it to the safety safari.
Yeah, I just a little trouble getting out of it, but take a little too much smoke.
Let's hope this brand new chassis isn't too badly hurt. Bodies are fairly cheap.
They are screaming mad at more than dirt after that run, Steve. You can bet on it. Those things hurt the pocketbook.
So Epler's explosion allows Bruce Nielsen to face off with the Hawaiian vacation car and Gordy Bonnet. Gordy is just a super funny car pilot. He has a knack with the controls. He can just get a car down almost any racetrack. Ooh, Nielsen does a little wheel stand. That unloads the tires. They smoke. Gordy blazes them through the lights. Gordy Bonnet will go to the Final Four. And decent numbers considering the traction available at 545 at 273 miles an hour. Bob Fry is down with one of the crew chiefs.
Rolling a 45 compared to what we saw that round. That's a great run.
Well, Etchels ran 43, and we got to race him next round. So we lost lane choice, but we'll see. It ain't over yet.
Is that really a factor here, the lane choice?
It didn't seem to be yesterday, but today's another day. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a huge factor right now. All right, when we get to the Final Four, you're going to see Chuck Etchels over at Gordy Bonnet. As Roland just pointed out, Etchels has the lane choice. Etchels already smiling about that. Cruz Pedregon against Kenji Okazaki. And Okazaki has the lane choice over the McDonald's car. Simply amazing, some of the stuff going on here today. Bandimere Speedway, the home of the NHRA Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals, is a track literally carved in stone. Before we get back to the racing, a quick word about NHRA Now, presented by Castrol GTX. It's a 24-hour drag racing information line with the latest information on your favorite drivers and events. You call 1-900-468-NHRA. You get our pal Dave McClelland. He tells you everything you want to know. If you're under 18, like Buzzy Carter there, you might want to tell your parents. Charges will appear in your phone bill.
Then your parents are going to talk to you about lying about your age, Steve, so you can't win on that deal.
That's right. Buzzy Carter calls the rodeo hotline. Former rodeo clown and crew chief on Eddie Hill's car. What a masterful job he has done. You heard Eddie give him a great deal of credit earlier on. Right now, Buzzy's up there messing with the fuel injection. They're up against Doug Herbert. Herbert does not have lane choice. You probably already figured that out. Psyching himself up is Doug Herbert. Wow. Did you see that? Just like a football player hitting his noggin on the locker room door.
Well, there's the good look at those side pods on the race car, and the way this track has been, the way the fuel funny cars smoke the tires, they can play a real important factor in this race, Steve.
Okay, Eddie Hill, along with Scott Coletta, they have ruled their sides of the elimination ladder. Oh, Eddie Hill, up and smoking sideways. Doug Herbert, a bit of luck and a wonderful reaction time. A 4-1 light, 4-0 is perfect. A 5:37 at 268 miles an hour. Doug Herbert goes to the Final Four. Eddie Hill doesn't.
5:37. I think it may have started getting a little bit tricky down there.
Well, it is gotten loose to smoke, but you notice Eddie Hill smoked first, and he must have lost his momentum. Unfortunately, I mean, God, we're lucky, aren't we?
Coming out after that Topeka event, you guys got to be tickled to death.
Yeah, we actually only came here to go through the motions to make sure we qualify, not wreck any of our parts, and then wait till the hot tracks for our hot stuff. But what can I tell you? Here we're in the finals.
You'll do this more often.
What may have happened to Eddie Hill, we've had intermittent little showers, and there's a report of rain just right there in that isolated part of the track where he smoked the tires. That could have been the factor, Bob.
These two guys only raced once all season long. It came at Columbus, and of course we know that Doug Herbert won that race. So Herbert is one of the very few cars Eddie has not been able to take out so far this year. Look at that smoke. And that's the first time all weekend long that we've seen a wisp of smoke from Eddie Hill's tires. The first miscue from the yellow car all weekend long. And that should set the stage for a pretty good outing for Scott Coletta coming out of that #1 qualified position. He can now pick up some points on the current leader, Eddie Hill. But first, he's got to knock off a very tough Mike Dunn. So it'll be Mike Dunn and Scott Coletta. But first, let's join Steve at the end of the race course.
Not bad for a bruised-up kid in a backup car, huh?
All right. Some days you just can't be lucky. You know, you just can't be lucky enough. I mean, Eddie, you know, obviously Eddie's been just kicking buns every run, and to come up here and I saw, you know, I mean, he was out in front of me, and then I don't know whatever happened to him, and we just motored on by and felt pretty good all the way down. So
kind of huffed and puffed to a 5:37.
Well, rather be lucky than good. That's part of drag race. We've had our bad luck, so maybe it's time for a little good luck.
Bad luck doesn't describe Topeka.
To quote Dick LaHaye, life is like one great big luck bank. You can't keep making withdrawals without making a few deposits. And it looked like Eddie Hill might have just deposited some in the luck bank right there. There is Dick LaHaye overlooking Scott Coletta's race car. Scotty out of the #1 qualifying position, but Steve, we know what #1 has done to these guys this year in Top Fuel. It has not been good.
Well, I'll tell you, Mike Dunn, he is truly hungry to get this Gerald Wynn car in the winner's circle. He was highly disappointed to lose lane choice. Scott Coletta, he's got to be tickled to death to see Eddie Hill go out, except that Hill smoked the tires in the lane he's now got to traverse. So they're ready with these cars. You don't bring the RPMs up. They leave them in dead eye. You can stop the pedal. Scott Coletta doesn't smoke the tires. He just gets flat out run. Mike Dunn, a 5.12 to Coletta's 5.13. Dunn was sharper off the starting line. Wow, what an upset.
2 rounds in a row, thumbs up all the way. Never a doubt in your mind, Darrell.
Well, I appreciate that. It's a lot of hard work out here, and none of this is easy. Some days it looks easier than others, but the La Victoria crew is doing a good job today.
Should be a nice matchup in the final. Good luck.
Driver did a sensational job, as you'll see in replay. Mike Dunn, very alert off the starting line in the far lane.
He's earning his paycheck here. Talked about holding the brake to get over the bump after that last round, and here he puts a little gate job on Scotty Coletta. Inches out right off the starting line and never looked back. Now, Coletta's car started to run into some problems. Looked like it's dropping some cylinders. Oh, look at that. And you can't make forward progress when you're only firing on 7 out of 8. And look at that as Michael Dunn goes to the finals, where he will face Doug Herbert. Those two cars have only raced once all year. First round, first race of the season, Herbert ran 301 against him. Mike Dunn with a little revenge factor coming up in the finals here at Bandimere.
Well, the mighty have fallen. First Eddie Hill and now Scott Coletta. What a great drag race.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Scott's tough. You know, we ran our race and tried to make him beat him. Boy, I lose my breath up on this hill, you know.
5.12 to a 5.13.
Oh, great race, great race. We knew he was going to be tough. We tried to step up a little bit, but we were worried about that right lane. It stuck, and I think he might have saw Eddie. They might have took a little clutch. We saw him work over on the bell housing there before, but you know, we're happy. We got this La Victoria McGuire's Kindle Top Fuel in the final again, so we're looking good.
And you'll have lane choice now.
Right. Well, it looks like Dick LaHaye may have just made a deposit into the luck bank. Chuck Etchels and Tim Richards getting ready for their Fuel Funny Car semifinal. They're thinking about a different kind of Hawaiian vacation.
We're back in Denver. That's Gordy Bonin. He has a Hawaiian crew chief and a Cajun crew chief. I wonder what they have for lunch around there. Blackened poi? All right. Can I have that one back? Let's go with pro stock. Warren Johnson up against Ricky Smith. And I'll tell you, Ricky Smith has been using him up on the starting line, Bob.
And he's going to have to use up Warren Johnson if he wants to get the win. Warren, averaged on the year, is half a tenth quicker than the next guy in the class, and that's his son. More than that over the rest of the field. So Ricky, with that new look Formula Firebird, really going to have to be at his best on the starting line. WJ has just been a hammer in this class this year.
Warren's wife, Arlene, opens the door to get a little fresh air in there. You saw the video camera in her left hand. Virtually all of these crews have someone appointed to video, and that's why you see the white slash on the tire. It shows up better in the video, frame by frame, how hard it's spinning with that white mark on there. It's like a strobe.
They call him Tricky. Ricky Smith, for 2 reasons. First of all, he's rather sly on the starting line, and it rhymes with Ricky, so everybody named Ricky is Tricky.
That's right. In fact, Buster Couch got on Ricky earlier today about not staging as quickly as Buster thinks he should. In fact, he said stage first or I'll red light you, I believe was the comment. All right, Ricky Smith, far lane. Warren Johnson, near side. Pontiac and Oldsmobile. Well, I tell you, Ricky again with a hole shot. 0.03 of a second. Could be an upset. No. Warren Johnson with his best elapsed time of the day, 760, 182 miles an hour. Ricky with a hole shot made his 769 look closer than it actually was at 178.
He really did step up in this round. We were worried about the performance of that Oldsmobile. The Dodge was starting to make them all look like pedestrians, but he goes 760 and a monster top-end speed at 182 miles an hour. And even Ricky's advantage off the starting line would not be enough to keep that Pontiac Formula Firebird out in front of the reigning Winston champ. He's won it once, and he's probably going to win it again. A magnificent performance by WJ. Might be able to keep pace with the Dodge and Scott Jeffrey on.
Well, so far, Warren, you're right on the script. It just needs a happy ending.
Yeah, it's not running as well as it should today. The GM Performance Parts Old is operating at a little bit of a handicap, but we're in the final. That's the most important thing. You got to win this thing round by round.
A 760 here. What if you get the far lane in the final round?
I don't think there's really all that much of a difference between both lanes, maybe a hundredth or two, but we'll just have to take a roll of the dice and see what happens.
Good job.
Don't think I'd ever like to play poker with that guy, Steve. I mean, you can't tell when he's tickled to death or when he's really upset at the world.
No, he really is a very steady interview, shall we say. All right, you're on board with Scott Jeffrey on the roll, talking about him. The #1 qualifier, the only pro stock car into the 740s. And he's up against, of course, the winningest man in the history of drag racing, Bob Glidden in the Ford Pro. And Glidden has been running respectable numbers. His son, Rusty, out in front of the car, trying to get his dad a perfect spot on the starting line with maximum traction, maybe a lucky spot.
And Bob Glidden's already won once on the season so far this year, so don't start shedding tears for the red car. I mean, he has won 10 Winston championships, more events than everybody else in the field, and just a tremendous performance. So this matches up the legend, Bob Glidden, and the legend wannabe, Scott Jeffrey on.
That's right, Jeffrey on moves very quickly up to the starting line, both pre-staged. Let's see who goes in first. Boy, they're there a long time. You can only beat yourself sometimes with this kind of a staging battle. Jeffrey on goes in. Glidden still takes a long time. Glidden is still not staged. Finally, he's in. Oh, and Glidden is away first. Jeffrey on tied to the starting line. A terrible reaction time. Look to the right. You lose. You and Scott Jeffrey on. Glidden wins at 768-2. Heartbreak. A 757. 179 to 182 miles an hour. Oh, Scott.
That's exactly what the guys in the Wayne County Speed Shop are saying right now. Reaction time advantage, a monster. Glidden 454 light. Remember, 400 is perfect. And Scott Jeffrey on, well, I don't want to say it was slow, but they clocked that baby with a calendar on the starting line. Jeffrey on ran a 757 to Glidden's 768. You heard it right, 1100s quicker, and look at that. Bob Glidden, the 10-time Winston champion, wins it going away, and he will take on Warren Johnson in the final. WJ with lane choice in a surprising final round matchup.
Headed for the final round, Bobbit.
Miracles do happen, don't they, Steve?
It took a while to stage up there. I guess you have to do what you have to do.
I don't know if I took... You know, when you get on the starting line, you just do whatever comes normal. Sometimes you stage quick, sometimes you don't. I didn't see Buster in the window counting down, so I didn't think it was any problem. But whatever happened on the starting line had no bearing on the race. He apparently broke something or did something wrong.
Okay, Bob Glidden goes in the final round to race Warren Johnson.
All depends how you tell the story, folks.
You want more from the NHRA Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals? Well, you got it. I'm Steve Evans along with Bob Fry, and it's time for the final four in funny car. Gordy Bonin versus Chuck Etchells will kick it off. Etchells, the #1 qualifier. He's got that big plus in his corner named Tim Richards, who wrenched Joe Amato to about 5 titles on this mountain, really knows the thin air. And speaking of dominating something, that's what National Dragster does in the world of drag racing when it comes to news. When you join NHRA, you get 48 issues of Dragster, a jacket patch, an NHRA pin and decal, a rule book, all kinds of stuff. And if you call that number right there on your screen, you'll get free the Diamond P Video Drag Racing 92. So what the heck? Go ahead. Call today, right after the show's over.
Operators are standing by.
Actually, that's the home number of National Dragster editor Phil Burgess. All right, here is Chuck Etchells up against Gordy Bonin. Etchells would appear to have just about every plus you could ask for in this particular situation, Bob.
Except a K. He needs a K on the side of that name there.
The car went so fast he blew his own K off. All right, Gordy Bonin in the far lane. You heard Roland Leon tell Bob earlier, we're going to hop it up a little bit, but we're really worried about that lane. Good start. Look at Bonin go. Oh, Bonin. Did he cross the center line? There's a good chance that Gordy Bonin, even though he got there first, could be disqualified. A 560 at 240 and the work. No. He did not cross the center line. You be the judge.
Watch this again. Great move on the starting line. Bonin out by a quarter car length. You'll see the smoke start billowing off the Kendall GT1 Super Winch team machine. But then watch this at the left side of your screen. Here he comes over near the center line. Now, if he goes over that center line, he is disqualified. And I want to tell you, that is awfully close. The tires have to go over the center line. Unbelievable.
They have looked at that center line, Gordy, with a magnifying glass, and you didn't cross it.
Yeah, that was plenty close. I mean, the thing was on a good move. I thought, well, there's no way this thing can spin the tires on. I mean, grabbed the brake. I thought, the old instinct, I guess. Damn, nice to be here. Mopar, thank you.
A 560 at a very appropriate 240, Gordy.
We'll get her to the finish line. Yeah, we'll run 270 here somewhere. Thank you very much.
You can't. 270, Gordy, just doesn't have the same ring to it. Boy, did they dodge one right there as Chuck Edgels comes over and congratulates him. So Bonin, for the third race in a row now, Stephen, moves into the finals. That's a pretty good performance for that team.
You bet it is. I'll tell you, this could be very interesting. Kenji Okazaki has lane choice over Cruz Pedregon, who put out John Force in the round before. Kenji may have even moved first off the starting line. Yes, he did. But Kenji breaks something. Talk about dodge a bullet. Let me tell you, Pedregon just did it. 5:49.261. Woo.
Mike, I know you want to take these things one round at a time, but you got to be pretty pleased already with this weekend.
Yeah, that's great. We haven't been in a final in a while. We've been to semifinals the last 3 races, and we're just happy to be there. We finally got it to make it all the way down there without spinning the tires too bad, so we're ready for the final.
Ready to punch out that Hawaiian car?
There you go.
First time in a while we've seen that team be able to smile. They're in the championship round. Cruz Pedregon and McDonald's, Gordy Bonin, and the Hawaiian vacation car. Steve?
We have got a fun final on our hands. Cruz, you and Gordy Bonin, it should be special.
Yeah, it really will be. You know, we raced Bonin down in Topeka, but we owe him one. But hey, the biggest thing is we've got this McDonald's car in the final. I'll tell you, Steve, it's been so long. It's been really tough on the guys, but, you know, that just goes to show what a championship team's all about, to hang in there and do what it takes.
You just ran a 49 in the lane that's not favored. Would you maybe take it again?
I don't think so, Steve. I think the left lane's a little bit better lane. We just did what we had to do. You know, we've been taking a lot of big steps trying to get the thing soft, but we'll take the left lane. Thank you.
A couple of driving fools in the funny car final.
Car makes as much power as anybody in the class. Finals and Top Fuel getting set. The Doug Herbert pit area. They're ready to square off with Michael Dodd.
Few race drivers work as hard on the race car as Mike Dunn does. He's in there somewhere, I guarantee you, with grease up to his elbows. He'll be facing off with Doug Herbert in the Top Fuel final coming up. But first, we got the factory hot rod final. Pro stocks, 2,350 pounds, 500 cubic inches. They are smoking the tires. And this is a spectator's dream. Warren Johnson and Bob Glidden, the titans of the sport.
There's not a better matchup in pro stock than this. And say what you want about performance, the Motorcraft quality parts machine of Bob Glidden on a given day can punch out anybody in the field. Now, Warren has been the class, both performance-wise, ET, and horsepower, all season long. But when it comes down to a great matchup, worth the price of admission, don't tell the boss this. I'd pay to see this one, Steve.
I did. Okay, let me tell you, these two guys, they don't care for each other all that much. They really don't. We talked about Force and Pedregon down at the other end with no eye contact. That's strictly professional. Those two could get together and have dinner some night, but I don't think you're going to see Glidden and Johnson at the same Howard Johnsons.
Nope, they do not dine together very often. And I might add, not a #1 qualifier to be seen here in all of our final rounds.
And we know why. Scott Jeffrey on, for whatever reason, was dead late on the lights. Could have been a problem inside the car. We'll never know. Ooh, and it's Glidden off the mark first again. Look at Glidden go. He's got 500s. And it's enough. The Ford fans are rocking Bandimere. Glidden not only whole shot at Johnson, he out-ET'd him. A 768 to a 771. What a tremendous pro stock final.
Guys, I hate to break up this love fest, but what a weekend this has been.
It was a really tough weekend. We brought a new engine out, and it looks really good. It was in my car. I didn't qualify. Dad, you know, he wasn't really running good, but by God, he's the best driver in this country, and he always will be.
What a magnificent job. Let's look at this one again. Rusty, talk about a bad hair day. Unbelievable. Look at this. The Motorcraft Quality Parts Ford car out of the starting box first. And I'm not sure what happened to WJ, but he slowed to his poorest run of the day, a 771. And when the big red machine is over there in the opposite lane, you cannot afford to trail off. Bob Glidden off the starting mark first and never look back. And this will be win number 84 for Bob Glidden in the Ford. A full car length and maybe more at the top end of the racetrack. Let's go with Steve Evans.
Well, Bob, your son Rusty, we may have to put him in a home for the night. He's gone over the edge.
I'm over the edge too, Steve. I'm telling you what, 2 miracles in one day. Too much for any of us.
You've been eating your Wheaties or what? 2 terrific hole shots.
You know, I don't know what the last light was. The semifinals was nothing special. Sometimes you're off, like Scott in the semifinals was off a little. I didn't do anything special, for sure.
It looks like maybe some R&D has paid off, though.
Well, I don't know. I think we were just very lucky today. That's the way we look at it.
Congratulations again. 10-time champ wins here in Denver.
Diana.
He keeps talking about miracles. I guess he doesn't know the Pope's coming to Denver, huh? Don't use them all up. It'll be finals in Fuel Funny Car. When we come back, it's the Cruiser against Gordy Bonin.
All right, the tire burners are on tap. The Funny Car final at the NHRA Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals. As I said before, a couple of driving fools. Gordy Bonin, who has negotiated that bad lane, quote, end quote, very successfully up against Cruz Pedregon, who out-pedaled John Force. So when you get on a track like this, you know what? Maybe the times aren't that great, but the racing in some ways is better, Bob.
Absolutely. You realize John Force coming into this race had only lost 2 rounds all season long, and Cruz finally knocked him out. Now he's got a chance to take on and maybe take out the guy that is the hottest funny car in the class right now. 3 races, 3 final rounds in a row. Magnificent performance for that Roland Leong team.
All right, whoever wins, it will be their 2nd win of the season. Pedregon is the guy that seems to want it most from a point standpoint because Bonin didn't join the Tour until we were already in a few races. So this is Pedregon's chance to assert himself and maybe give Force some more nightmares. Roland Leong holding Gordy Bonin. I don't know if I would like to stand right there.
Steve, these are 2 of the most business-like, professional, methodical, meticulous crews we have in the sport, and maybe that's why they've both done so very well.
Oh, I think you're right. And the drivers here need a lot of credit. We give so much of it to the crew chiefs. I'll tell you, both of these boys wouldn't be here if they couldn't handle these machines. Pulling the brake, every trick in the book, especially Gordy Bonin to get down that lane. Good start. Bonin's ahead. Whoa, Bonin almost tags the wall. And Cruz Pedregon wins the Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals with a final shot of 5:48, 263 miles an hour.
Mike, the game plan is win the race, smile, and look happy. You can lighten up.
It's just a lot of pressure, you know, but it's so great. We went out there and repeated 2 runs in a row, and I've had some hardship. My family, my brother died this last week. I'd like to dedicate this race to him. You know, all the guys, they did a great job. Larry Minor, McDonald's, everybody's sticking behind us, and this is the first of many in a row, hopefully.
Watch Gordy Bonin on his Aloha appearance here. That car is incredible in the right lane, almost unmanageable.
Almost went over the center of the track in the semifinals. That would have been a move to the left. And here already, he's starting to veer to the right where that wall looms. Now, when it comes to that wall, you can win or lose. You just don't want to tie, that's for sure. Up in smoke go the tires and his chances for a win here at the Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals. Cruz Pedregon, 2nd win of the season. Steve?
Cruz, it looks like the Big Mac is back on track.
Well, I think so. You know, Steve, it's been a long time since we've been in the final round. It's good to be here. It's great to win these races. But I'll tell you, you know, without our sponsors, McDonald's, Larry Minor, who's here helping us, working with us, Oldsmobile, Goodyear, Coca-Cola, all the people at McDonald's that are watching this, and Coca-Cola, they're affiliated. I want to say hi to everybody. Thanks for supporting us.
That was a good race till Bonin lost traction.
Yeah, it was. You know, that Gordy Bonin Hawaiian Vacation car is a tough car. They're going to be tough next year. But we had our hands full, but we just try to run our own race.
Big change next weekend. Sonoma, California, the Autolite Nationals, sea level or below.
We're looking forward to that racetrack there. You know, the 4-second barrier still needs to be broken. These funny cars, who knows what might happen there, but that's my home track, and want to say hi to everybody at home. And thank the fans for supporting us. It's been a long season so far, but we're back.
And our hearts go out to Mike Green and his family. Nothing can soften the blow, but our best wishes are with him, and congratulations to the team today.
Well said, Bob. All right. And then there was one. This is the Top Fuel final. Mike Dunn and Doug Herbert. To be very candid about it, Doug Herbert is a lucky guy to be here.
Well, to quote Dick LaHaye, life's a big luck bank.
Yeah, what a great line. Both these guys have done some tremendous driving, particularly Mike Dunn, who's been saddled with that opposite lane throughout eliminations, really. And now he has the pick, and you can bet he got out of it.
You hit it right on the head a few moments ago, Steve, when you said that the time, the speeds may not be what we see at sea level, but we haven't seen much better racing than this, and the drivers really do deserve a lot of credit. As I mentioned earlier, last time these two guys met, Herbert strapped a 301-mile-an-hour run on Mike Dunn. They won't even approach that here, but the big key is who can get to the finish line first. One of these young teams going to get a little boost right here.
That's right, and Jimmer said he's worked really, really hard. Well, for the last month, they destroyed the car in Topeka. They've had to prepare this race car, prepare an awful lot of parts and pieces. They've run a couple of match races even in the meantime, you can believe that. But right now, they have a chance to win their second national event of the road. Let's remember they won Columbus, Ohio. Mike Dunn could join the very elite group of drivers who have won in funny cars and dragsters. Can he do it? We're going to know in about 5 seconds. Wins here in Denver at 5:14, 271 miles an hour. Doug Herbert, the 5:24. He was there at 269 miles an hour. Mike Dunn, boy, what a super drive today.
Nothing flukish about it. He just drove away from Doug Herbert. 5:14 for Dunn. Herbert 5:24. Couple of miles an hour difference at the top end of the racetrack. But look at this. They're 300 feet into the race, and this baby's over. Mike Dunn just driving at the top end of the racetrack. And to Darrell Gwynn and the entire team, way to go. Out of the picture, Doug Herbert.
Good job. Oh, boy, do we got enough time? Force ain't in the final, so I have a little more time to talk here. I want to thank everybody. I mean, La Victoria, Bob Tangless, Frank Euro, they're out here this weekend. I mean, this is great. McGuire's, Jack Swan, Rich McCrillis, Kendall, Mopar, of course, Larry Henry, all the guys out here to come here and win their race. One of our sponsors, that's great. I want to say hi to my little girl, Samantha. Dad loves you. I'll have to get you another present. I want to say hi to all the guys back at EB Able Construction. Todd and Tyler, love you guys. I don't know what that means, but they say it's all right because we got a Democrat in the office now. The crew, what a great job they did. Brian, Doug, Tom.
Congratulations, we got to go.
Sure, cut me off.
I wonder if we have to give equal time now after that comment about the president. Congrats to Darrell Gwynn, Mike Dunn, and the team for winning in Top Fuel. Cruz Pedregon, McDonald's, and Funny Car. Bob Glidden and Motorcraft in Pro Stock with that Ford. A great race here at the Mopar Parts Mile High Nationals. For Steve Evans, I'm Bob Fry. Thanks for being with us.
The executive producer for American Sports Cavalcade is George E. Orgera. The supervising producer is Tom Gee. Produced and directed by Mark Kuchin. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by this special offer from Diamond P.
How do you top 2 great videos from Diamond P Sports? With a hat, of course. By calling 1-800-257-6161, you get And They Walked Away Volumes 1 and 2. You save $5, and you get a free Diamond P hat. Featuring the most spectacular spins, flips, wrecks, and fires from the Diamond P archives, this combo is a great motorsports entertainment bargain. With rare footage from drag racing, stock cars, outlaws, swamp buggies, road racing, and more. And now you get a free Diamond P Sports hat as a bonus. You can't top it. To order with credit card, call 1-800-257-6161 or send check or money order for $44.90 plus $6 shipping and handling to the address on your screen. That's 1-800-257-6161.
The American Sports Cavalcade is a presentation of Diamond P Sports.